Welcome to the Trout Show. Today, we are stoked to chat with the Parker Burrow Band, Nashville's own southern rock revivalists known for their gritty riffs, soul-stirring vocals, and high-energy performances. Fresh off their hometown scene, they are gearing up for their first-ever European tour this summer. Join us as we dive into their journey, creative process, and what's in store for this electrifying band. Now here's the Trout. Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Meet David Smith, your trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. With personalized strategies and expert guidance, David helps you achieve your financial goals, no matter where you are in the continental USA. From retirement planning to investments, he's got you covered. Call David today at 469372157 to start building your brighter tomorrow. That's 469372157. Your financial success starts here.
Your first album as a band was what, 2 years ago? Almost 2 years ago, right?
About 2 years.
August of 23, I think I read.
Yep.
Okay. So let's start out with, I can say this because my wife and I both work together. You're still married, are you? Are you still together?
Yes, we're still married.
I like the Alex is over there going, yeah, well,
Right,
I've seen it. I've seen it all. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
We were in corporate America and worked together, so it was different. When did you guys actually physically start the band?
So
How did,
so Dylan and I, we met in February of 2019. So about 6 or 7 years ago, however long, six years ago.
Yeah.
We met and then by chance and started touring almost immediately after that together, and spent 4 or 5 years looking for an Alex Bender, and we ended up meeting him. I guess that's been
2023.
2 years now. 2 years, and that's really when things started kicking off for us. Dylan and I, we did a bunch of, back in the cover band scene. We did that. We started Parker Burrow back in, that was 2020.
2020,
and,
yeah.
From then on, we kind of just been trying to release more and more original music, releasing Jukebox Gypsies, and now working on album number 2. So yeah, it's been about 6 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
so you've been doing your gig. Alex, you came in a couple of years ago, right?
Yes, sir.
So you've been doing this for a while. So, and I assume Alex has obviously played with a lot of different people. Of course, he wouldn't be that good, if you don't show up. And I'm going to talk to you about capo. I'm going to talk about that capo. I caught that. I saw that. I'm going like those cheaters. Anyway, so you've had a lot of history. In other words, you've gotten some traction. What do you think is the main thing right now kind of holding you back? Not musically, but everybody has kind of a dream, it's going to. I know you're going to Europe this year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got some information about that. You'll like playing over there. It's completely different than America.
Yeah.
But what is the good news you hear about your band and the bad news that you hear about it, or the not so happy news?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say there's really anything holding us back. I think we've chosen a specific path in this that is not so much, maybe sometimes we don't always get the instant gratification you could get from, some of the, social media bands or, bands that have chosen the route of releasing music first and then going out and touring. For us, it's always been about the live show. That's what we love. That's where our passion lies. And I think we've chosen a route where we've decided we will go out and play, any and every bar that will have us, and try to develop a real, genuine connection with people out on the road. And, I think it makes for a long road, but I think it makes for a very rewarding and fulfilling road. So I don't know if there's really anything holding us back. I think it's just kind of the way we've gone about this. We've tried to stay true to, the way that we feel some of those bands, like you mentioned, like the Allman Brothers, went out and did it. And, we try to honor those guys and the old fashioned way of doing things. So I think it's just a long road for us, but we're happy to be on it, and thankful for every mile we get to travel on it.
What I think that you're different because how many people are in the band? I forgot, 5, 6 of you?
Six. There's 6. The majority.
When you go out and play, you how many are there? 6 of you?
Yeah, there's about 6. There's 6 of us.
Okay. Yeah. And most of the time in all our bands I've been in, everybody's in a hurry. We got to get this. We got to get there. We got to get there. Where's the label people? Where's the A&R people? All that stuff.
Yeah.
So you've taken a different approach to it, which is probably a good idea. You're young. You've got music that's well known, and what's the point in being in a hurry?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what some people don't do is they don't build up their home base for people to know who they are. Mm-hmm. And you guys have obviously started doing that already, and the fact that you've already doing that makes a big deal because then you could just obviously build on that. Alex, what was the thing about that got your attention to them?
I think probably was a bit of I think probably what it was their plans and sort of what they were hoping to have achieved in the next, few months or year or so. I think that's what was really sort of attractive about the situation to me. Because, prior to talking with them and meeting with them, I, was kind of working with some stuff around town here in Nashville and just sort of stuff like this. But it was that December prior to, going out on the road with them that Dylan and I, talked for a while. And he said, we got some opening dates coming up in the beginning of next year. And then we got this other stuff we're hoping to do. We got a record. And it was a lot of stuff that to me was like, I'd love to be a part of that, and it seemed like from them and the ideas they had were very much in line with, where I wanted to be musically and what I wanted to do musically and where I hope to one day be musically. Mm-hmm. And I think, kind of hearing how their ideas and mine aligned, it was sort of one of those things. You never know, because people.
No, you don't. I mean, it's all about what chemistry is in a band.
Exactly. So you kind of got to throw a little caution to the wind and just go out and do it. And that's what it was. Is that I think it was like whether or not this ends up being what at that time it says it was is
you don't know.
It doesn't. But it doesn't really matter, because it's like it sounds great right now. Let's just run down that dream and see what it is, and that's kind of I think what it was for me, was having those ideas and those talks and stuff and saying like that's it, man. If we could do that, that would be cool.
That'd be cool.
Well, I think it all really comes down to what you do on stage. Mm-hmm. And if you're not having fun, what's the point?
Right.
I mean, it's a slog. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's not an easy gig. I mean, everybody wants to be doing this, and then it's like, it's work.
Right.
And it's very rewarding. And I mean, every night when people go, yeah, more, can you do it again? Again, I'll buy these shirts are $50 this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they were 25. Yeah, but now we're known. It's 50.
Yeah, that's it. Well, the other night after one of our shows we had, I was talking with this gentleman who saw us and was saying, I love the show, this and that, and was trying to talk about, so he had some ideas for what the band could do, because a lot of folks he talked to are gracious enough with their, thoughts and all that. And, he was trying to tell me, and I was like, yeah, I appreciate it. I was like, let's slow down a little bit, I was like, because you have to, the way you got to look at it from the musician and performance standpoint is that hour and a half or hour, however long you get to play on stage.
Yeah.
That's for us, that's our stuff. That's what we dream to do all the time. And that's why I think, our shows and music, I think is one of the reasons I like is because it's always been, to me, authentic and true, because we're doing what makes us happy and enjoy. And all the other stuff you have to do because you have to, get into the gigs, the loading in, the loading out, all the other stuff. But the hour and a half or whatever that you're on stage and stuff, that's what it's about, and that's where it's like the magic happens, because that's what it is, So, I mean, it's a cool feeling, a cool thing to be a part of,
So Megan, tell me a little bit about your musical background, because I know some of my notes here. Somebody actually referred to you as, you sound like Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Now, you have a great voice, by the way. I'm just telling you that. Tell me a little bit about your background, music background.
Yeah, so my background's much different than theirs. I grew up in a little south of Birmingham, Alabama, which does mean that I grew up on old country music, and my dad was a big old country music fan. So I did grow up.
The kind, the nasally kind,
Right?
where they don't open their mouth and they're like, hey, okay.
Fun, yeah. Yeah, so I grew up on that, and really, I think for me, with country music in general, was the songwriting aspect of the whole thing, and the storytelling of what that time period was like, with the Waylon Jennings and the Willie Nelsons and the Johnny Cashes of the world, hearing that. And my dad was a songwriter, so he would sit around the house, play guitar, and write songs, and so that really attracted me at a very young age. Finding something to talk, for music is just an outlet to talk about things that you don't really want to talk about, or stuff like that. And as a kid, I really grasped onto that. Started playing guitar around 12, and started singing and writing songs pretty much immediately after that. So it was a bit of a different journey. I didn't grow up on the rock and roll or the blues or the roots or anything like that. But as I got older, I started not connecting as much to country music, just because of the path it's taken. It isn't what I grew up on anymore. Not that it's good, bad, or indifferent.
No, it's completely different now.
Right, yeah. So it's just it was just different now than what I grew up loving. And then I started finding bands like the Black Crowes, thanks to Dylan, and all those bands, Led Zeppelin, Allman Brothers, and they had the same soul and intent as that old country music, but it comes from a different place, and I feel like but it gets across the same emotion. These people, all they did and all they thought about was the music, and that's what they sought out to do. And ever since I got involved in music or wanted to sing, my only goal was to do it for the rest of my life. And I do think that is where I found a common ground in all the music that we listen to and all the music that inspires us. It's because they never stopped, and they never let those hardships or the stuff that they never let it get in the middle of it. And for us, that is the biggest thing. We can't stop, and we won't stop. We really just it is what it is. We take it all graciously, and every time you get a little bit of that high, the world has a way of humbling you, and then you just repeat the cycle. And so yeah, that was kind of my main thing. I started hearing bands like the Black Crowes, and really felt like that's where my voice would excel, I think. Not in any way, shape, or form comparing myself to Tina Turner or any
No, I mean, that's a great compliment. I don't know who wrote it, but
it's a great compliment. But I do think that as a band and with our sound and everything that we have worked towards, it's living in the right spot right now for all of us to excel, for all of us to show the things that we do best. And I think that's what makes a great band, and that's what we're just trying to do is if you can highlight everybody in the way that they shine, that's only going to make for more success.
Well, at the end of the day, you're still a band, and you have to get together.
We have an awesome producer that we work with. He's out of the Philadelphia area. His name's
Cool.
Stephen. He produced our Jukebox Gypsies record in 2023, and he's also producing this next record that we're working on now. That was another big thing when we met him. It just kind of opened a whole new world to us, musically, and it was a lot of us bringing in thoughts and ideas, and him kind of just elaborating on those things and bringing them to a new space. So it's been a blessing to get to work with him. We love every chance we get. We're heading back to the studio this week to work on finishing some stuff up for this second record. But to your point, having a good producer goes a long way for a band, and we're very fortunate to get to work with Stephen. So,
Dylan, I have to ask, was John Bonham one of your favorite drummers?
Yeah, there's honestly, my list of drummers is not as long as some guys. It's there's really two guys for me. I mean, there's more, but my two biggest influences are John Bonham and Steve Gorman from the Black Crowes.
Well, I could hear the Bonham. That's why I asked. I could hear the Bonham play.
Yeah, I love John Bonham. The more triplets, the better. So that's always kind of been my thing. But yeah, I certainly am a huge Bonham fan. Love the thing with him is, and something that I will for the rest of my life aspire, to try to capture is the melodic nature of his drumming. If you listen to the isolated drum tracks from all of that Zeppelin stuff, it's he's playing melodies on the drum kit, and it's just it's always even with how busy some of his stuff is, everything he plays is always complementing the rest of the band. Even when it's his time to be here in the forefront, he's still complementing everything else that's going on, and it's just a really one of a kind type of player that can have his thing and make it fit into everyone else's thing. And Alex, he talks about it a lot with Zeppelin, just how all of those guys every night were going out and contributing to the show and just making this beautiful noise together. So Bonham is definitely a huge influence, and love just about everything he's ever done.
Well, so Alex, what do you? I was looking at your couple of videos. What do you play normally? Do you play a Les Paul? What do you play?
Yeah, it's usually I'm more of a Gibson kind of guy. That's usually it. Yeah, it's usually the Les Paul or something, and sometimes for some of the open tunings, I have a Junior.
What's your favorite open tuning?
Oh, I'm an open G6. That's kind of where I live there. That's all that, a lot of that Crowes and I mean, just all that stuff is in that open G stuff, man. And you were talking about the capo there and stuff, and it makes it so easy if we need to, change keys.
I know. I give people that crap all the time.
I know.
Only because I remember how hard it was to learn how to play an F chord. Just play an F chord. I was like, how come I can do that? Now it's it doesn't matter. I've been playing decades.
Well, exactly. And the thing with the open tunings is a lot of times you want to get those open strings ringing out because they take a traditional triad and can put suspensions or these really rich and beautiful notes on top of something that's really not and pretty straightforward.
Right.
So by putting that capo on there, you can change keys while still getting some of those really beautiful notes and make it work and not just have to do okay, now I'm playing an A, so I got to do these block chords up here and kind of lose some. And that's part of that sound too. I think that we had chose to gravitate towards on this record here.
Let's talk about your songwriting approach. Does everybody do you have one or two of you? Or does somebody come with an idea? How many they do? Okay. Well, I'm just curious. How does that work?
It's been really cool writing this record because I feel like it's been very I don't know what the word is, natural or organic, I guess. Either he'll have a riff that's literally just bugging him to death in his head and is I got to get this out, or I'll have some ideas for some lyrics that are completely separate from each other. And when we get together, we've been fortunate enough that things have kind of just fallen into the right place. It could be an idea I had for years or an idea that he's had for years. And when we bring those two ideas together, somehow they have worked out. So it's been really refreshing. Sometimes you can get frustrated with writing and it can be a hard hill to climb. But with this record so far, the songs have kind of just fallen right into place, and it's been a lot of fun to create them and tweak them, and and then we get our producer involved as well, and he kind of can elevate certain things with melodies, and watching him and Alex work together is always a blast. Two great musical minds, so it's I wouldn't say we have like a standard thing like this is how we write a song. I think it's just like somebody brings something to the table, and then if we all dig it, we find a way to fill the rest of it in, and that's kind of how it's been for this record.
Megan, do you have a particular range you like to sing in, a particular key?
Like working with our producer on Jukebox Gypsies, we kind of found where my sweet spot is range wise or key wise. But like we've talked recently of like just there's no limits really. Like we can find keys, and there's obviously every singer has their box that they like to stay in. But one thing with the music that we're doing and the music that we're trying to make, we're trying to get all of ourselves out of our own boxes and explore other things that may not be natural to us, but try and find other sweet spots that may not be super comfortable, but allow ourselves to kind of open up and do things that might not be super comfortable, so that you can find a new avenue with every song. So that's kind of, I do definitely have my range, but
sure, we all do.
And our producer liked to push me out of that. So so it's always fun trying to figure out where I can sing it and how far we can actually take something.
But you know what's also interesting about you guys? Historically, it's always been the first album for a new band, well-known band, is usually their best. The sophomore album is not bad, but it's not as much, because you've had usually your whole life to write songs for the first album.
Yeah.
So then you got your second album, you're like, well, now, of course, you're doing your own thing, but when you're with a label, they press.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, got to get going here. And you're like, okay, and they're expecting to have Grammy winners every time. But you guys haven't got that, really. You've been a band for a while. I know you two have been together for a while, but you still bringing Alex in and the other members in to a certain degree. You've got that chance where you're kind of all new.
Yeah. It's it's exciting for us, because I do think that with bringing Alex in for this second record, we do kind of get another first chance. And I mean, with Jukebox Gypsies, it's still a record we're extremely proud of. We still think there's a lot of life left in it. One of our favorite bands is Whiskey Myers, and I think their first album that they released in 2011 just went platinum. And that gives us hope that, with all the music you release, people, when they invest in a band, they invest in the entirety of that band. And with this, we do get to bring in another mind, a very different mind from the both of us, and be able to give this next record a fresh sound from Jukebox Gypsies, but also give it, I think, a more power behind it, because there's more than just, Jukebox Gypsies was Dill and I trying to figure out chords in our house and bringing it to our producer, because we didn't know how to play any of the songs, and just kind of putting that in front of him and having him do with it as he did. And now we can kind of hash a lot of that out prior to going to the studio, and get a lot more focus on the actual production of the song and making it sound different than anything we've done before.
Well, I'd be remiss not to ask you about something that it's interesting to me, that you guys have no problem telling people about your faith.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Which is not, and I'm right there with you, but it's not something in our music ability. People don't think people are that way.
Right.
It's not Christian music you play. You play that other stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I admire you for that, because it's almost like politics.
Right. Yeah.
I don't talk to any musicians at all. I don't care where they are. I did with my people in the UK when they kept changing prime ministers. I'd laugh. You got a new prime minister today?
Yeah.
But I stay away from it. And if people start moving that way, I go, no, because it's no win.
Right. Yeah.
I bet you've been getting some positive feedback from that.
Yeah. For us, we don't do it for any feedback or
No. I understand. You're just that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the big thing with it is, if we're talking about on the music end of this, the bands like the Rolling Stones and the Black Crowes and the Led Zeppelins, I think the reason that all of them were as successful as they were is because no matter what, they were always authentically 100% themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing that made them stick out. The reason it's cool to smoke cigarettes and stick it in the headstock is because Keith Richards did it. He wasn't doing it because someone did it and it was cool.
No, he just did it.
He made it cool. And I think that's how we feel about our faith and about chasing our dream the way that we decide to chase it is we're not trying to be cool. We're just trying to be authentically ourselves. And, we're not going to hide that or be bashful about it. We are who we are. We're humans. We're people. We just happen to be musicians. So, I think it's very important no matter what you do in life to try to chase being authentically yourself and staying true to yourself and your beliefs and your morals. And I think that's the most important part of all of this. So, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what we aim to do. And people will either like it or they won't. But, we're not in the business of being the most likable people on the planet.
You just do what you do.
Do what we do. We love music. We love the music we create. Like Alex was talking about earlier, like we do the stuff musically that makes us happy. Mm-hmm. And if anyone else in the world hears it or sees it and it makes them happy too, that's enough for us. That's why we do it. So, yeah.
Okay, who's the social media person?
Mostly her.
Yeah, that's mostly me.
It's one of those things that drives me nuts. Do you like doing it, or is it just something you feel like you have to do?
I like creating stuff. I like creating, I do like some of our posters and stuff. I love that, the graphic design side of things. With social media, it's hard because, it's like one of those things, like, I feel like we're always trying to be ourselves and be, authentic in who we are and what we do. But I never want to compromise any of that for a like or a share or a follow or anything. Mm-hmm. So there's a balance between how to do it, when to do it, and what's worth doing it for. And really for us, the way we use social media is for information. Our shows, to know what we're kind of up to, where we're going.
You have to. Yeah.
You have to. It's definitely one of those things that, like, you just have to find the balance in it and get across what you have to. And you have to connect with, the people who come to your shows. They spend a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of miles coming to see us. And the least we can do, is offer them some form of connection, whether it's at the show or online. All that's very, very important to us. We have made a million friends, and I'm more likely to remember your name if you're on our social media.
Yeah, that's true.
Then I forget faces all the time. Yeah. But names, I can associate the two. So
in your business, that's what happens. You meet so many people, and you're like, and you're just one of you.
Right. Yeah. So it's fun. It's just one of those things you got to do at this point in our society. So you gotta be thankful for the opportunity to share with the world what you're doing.
Yeah.
You guys are planners. You got to know this. So tell me what you kind of envision in your future, how to keep things going, because you got to feed the cat, the dog, yourselves.
Yeah.
You got to pay for rent.
Sadie's dog food. It costs more than our food these days. That's wild.
Mine are in the other room. I have 4 on the other side. So.
Oh, God.
And they're all big. They're golden retrievers, so they're all big. Anyway.
Yeah. I think the money has never been the thing for us. Obviously, you got to make money. You got to live. And, that's part of it. But, luckily, like I was saying earlier, the live show's been a big thing for us and has always been where our passion lies. I've never really dreamed about having like a platinum record or a number one song or something like that. Like the dream for me and, speaking for everybody from the conversations we've had is, the dream is Madison Square Garden 10 nights in a row selling it out.
There we go. Yeah.
That's what, I think we're all collectively working towards and dreaming of is, having our music get to a place where it's so widely recognized that it can be something that can change a person's life or be meaningful to them in ways that music that we grew up on was meaningful to us. So the money, it is what it is. Like, we're not really interested in a lot of the industry stuff that people chase. Like, I don't think you need a label these days to do it. I don't think you need all the bells and whistles. I think if you're true to yourself and you chase your path and, you keep after it, as long as doors keep opening up, you keep walking through them, everything will work itself out. So money is money. You need it, but, it's nothing that it's not making or break it for us right now. We tour constantly, and we still right now have enough to fill the gas tank up and feed ourselves and feed Sadie. But
so how did you get a hold of Europe? Was Greg involved in that, or who helped you? I mean, how did that come about? Because that's got to be really exciting for you guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Europe it's one of those things. It's this close to Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Europe has been one of those things that we have, as a band, I think we talked about a year ago wanting to do, and never really expected it to happen this soon. But we just signed with an agency called Intrepid Artists International, and they book a lot here in the States, and are opening a branch over there in Europe as well. And so working with Greg and working with them, we got a festival called Maidstone as kind of our anchor date over there. And we're like, well, we're going over there, we might as well play a couple others. So we're playing, I think, 10 dates or 7 dates in 10 days or something like that in Spain and in the UK. So all new experiences for all of us.
Oh, I have to ask Alex something.
Yeah.
What do you play out of? What's your normal rig that you play out of?
It's usually a Bogner. Shiva is the head, and depending on venue size, it'll either be a 212 or maybe a 412, and sometimes it's both if it warrants and stuff. And I'm a pretty simple guy. It's not really. I know there's a lot of knobs and switches on there. I don't really know what a lot of them do. I'm kidding, but it's really about amplitude or volume for me. If you get that. But that's usually it, man. It's.
Are you a pedal guy or not a lot of pedals?
I use pedals for like the time-based effects, so anything like a delay, something like that, and then just a little tiny little boost that just takes you from here, just moves you up.
Little compression, little boost. Yeah,
just a little something like that, and that's it. But all my drive, my gain, that sort of stuff, I just get from the amp, really. And I always try to get or play amps that have a master volume. That way, I can take the.
There's mine.
Yeah, I was just looking at it behind you there. Very beautiful. I just
never pushed it past 50%. All the time I play. Never have to.
It's tough. It's tough too. Someday you have to, just for the sheer experience of it. Once all the the dogs and the wife have left the
Yes,
house.
I've heard it many times. Turn it down. I've heard it since I was in 8th grade. Turn it down. I had a Fender amp, and the teacher came over and said, "You got to turn that down." It was an 8-inch speaker, and I'm going like, "I'm going to be a lead guitar player."
Right. It's a privilege we get to hear that. I don't know how, but it is. Right. So.
Well, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a great evening, okay?
You too.
Take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Can't
that's it for this episode of The Trout Show. Thanks so much for coming along for the ride, and I want to give a big special thanks to Megan, Dylan, and Alex with Parker Burrow for coming on and talking to me and telling me about everything that's going on with their band. I'm telling you right now, people, they are a hot band, and I know they're going to make it big. If you need more information about them, go to their website. We are Parker Burrow. That's weareparkerbarrow.com, and you can find everything you need to know about them. Getting ready to go on tour to Europe. They're going to do well. Once again, thanks to the guy that keeps the lights on here at the Trout Show, Mr. David Smith with Edward Jones. Thank you, David, for your support. And as always, if you want to know more information about what's going on at the Trout Show podcast, videos, music, just go to theTroutShow.com. Hey, and by the way, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is Texas Rocker. That's Texas Rocker. So until the next time, people, you know what I always say. It's only rock and roll, but I love it. See ya.